And good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Lynch. I'm the city manager for the city of Newton Falls, Ohio. Welcome to our morning COVID-19 briefing. It's our chance to talk to you in Newton Falls about the COVID-19 events, how it affects our businesses, how it affects operations, generally speaking. We want you to listen to what the governor says on the weekday afternoons at 2 o'clock when he has his broadcast. And also the presidential task force. They're beginning to wind down, but there is a lot of information still coming from the federal authorities. What we like to do is give you some of the angle as to how things apply here in Newton Falls. Some information applies to everybody, some applies to just a few, but there's always a nugget of something that you can take from these morning briefings. So continue to tune in, but know that we are not doing them on Sunday mornings. We're doing them Monday through Saturday at this time. Well, right now this morning, I want to talk about the masking order in Newton Falls. Of course, as you know, I've taken a lot of abuse because of the masking order, but I did tell council and the mayor that I would let everybody know what the termination date is for the local Newton Falls order. Well, the Newton Falls termination date is May 15th. That is, in the morning of May 15th, the customers are not required to wear those masks. And we've been very carefully watching what the state is doing, and we had made a determination over at City Hall that the date that barbers and salon operators could have someone sitting in that chair as a customer, and the customer didn't have to wear a mask, then it would be okay for customers in Newton Falls to do the same. However, notice that all people in the science field, generally speaking, are saying it's highly recommended. So in Newton Falls, you've done a fantastic job. There have been pockets of people that occasionally haven't worn those masks, but I've been through the stores in Newton Falls, and I've seen a very high level of compliance, and we thank you. What's been different in Newton Falls, though, is that we've relied on you to have the mask order enforced. That is social pressure. I've gotten a number of stories where someone's in a store and they say, "Hey, buddy, how come you're not wearing a mask?" And then that individual's gone to the counter and gotten the free mask that the city has provided to all of our retail establishments. So we've got to do this only through the 14th. In the morning of May 15th, the customers are not required. And if you need a mask for any reason at any time, before or after May 15th, contact the city manager's office. We have them. The number is 330-872-0806. And you know what's been great about Newton Falls? Some of the people that criticize the local order have said, "Well, I'm angry because you're not enforcing it," which doesn't really make any sense. These are people saying the order shouldn't be there, but we want to make sure that people are arrested and cited if they do not comply. That's not our style in Newton Falls. We've been doing this through social pressure because we know that you care for each other. That's the Newton Falls way. The other day in Dallas, Texas, a lady who needed to open her salon just to feed her family was actually thrown in jail by the judge in Dallas. That's not the Newton Falls way. We've arrested no one. We've issued citations to no one. And the fact is that using government in such a hard-nosed way is completely inappropriate. Take a look at this brief clip about what happened in Dallas, Texas.
Because I'm not closing the store. If they arrest me, I have someone that will keep the store open because it's our right to keep the store open.
That's Dallas salon owner Shelley Luther last week, and this is her on Tuesday. Luther was sentenced to a week in jail and a $7,000 fine after she was found in contempt of court for defying Texas governor's stay-at-home orders and keeping her business open. She also tore up a cease and desist letter on April 25th at the Open Texas Movement protest, and a few days later received a temporary restraining order after she continued to operate her business.
Saying that you do have to close, or are you going to close?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
I need a haircut.
Thank you. Come get one.
Dallas Judge Eric Moye on Tuesday said Luther's actions were wrong.
That your actions were selfish, putting your own interest ahead of those of the community in which you live.
He said he would let her avoid jail time and only give her a fine if she apologized, admit she was wrong, and agreed to keep her business closed until Friday, when salons are allowed to reopen in the state. But Luther refused.
I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
On Wednesday, Texas Governor Gov Abbott, a Republican, said he and the Texas Attorney General sided with Luther, calling for her immediate release and adding that the judge in the case went too far in applying the law. On March 19th, Abbott issued a stay-at-home order to help slow the spread of the virus. Luther closed her salon on March 22nd, but reopened it on April 24th. On Tuesday, Governor Abbott said hair salons, barbershops, and nail parlors could reopen starting this Friday after restaurants and shopping malls resumed business on a limited basis last Friday. But businesses would have to follow specific rules, Abbott said, like reducing seating capacity to 25% and requiring people to practice social distancing where possible. And barbers and salon workers must wear masks and gloves. As for Luther, she will be fined $500 each day her salon stays open until Friday. Her lawyer reportedly said he planned to appeal the ruling immediately, but added it would be tragic if she contracted the virus while in jail.
You know, as Governor Abbott said there in Texas, the government should never go too far, as that judge did, in trying to enforce the law. So the governor intervened. Shelley Luther, Dallas, Texas. I kind of like that girl. I think she's kind of a hero, because government should never go too far. And she stood up for that principle. So I think she's a real hero. By the way, she physically looks like she could be Samantha Crop's sister, and with that fiery personality, I got to think they're related one way or another. In any case, Newton Falls, you're doing great. You've got about another 7 days left. So I really appreciate the fact that you're working so hard. And let's keep it up. In the meantime, we do have news out of Columbus in which things are opening up. And finally, we have a chance where citizens of Ohio can turn to our economy and say, hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Just shut up. You had me at hello. You had me at hello.
Yes, folks, give the state of Ohio economy a big hug, because the opportunity is coming. On May 15th, the salons and barbershops can start seeing customers under certain conditions again. And we're coming up to the point where restaurants can begin to service individuals in the first phase on a limited basis, al fresco outdoors. And in addition to that, later on, indoors under limited circumstances. So what's happening? Everybody is pulling together to make it work as we emerge from the darkness of the self-imposed economy shutdown to where people can shut down. As Shelley Luther said, it's not wrong for someone to want to feed their children. Well, one of the great businesses in town is the business of Dr. Dan Chachko's outstanding chiropractic clinic right in Newton Falls, and he's been dealing with the COVID-19 as well, and he's on our live line. Good morning, Dr. Dan. How are you?
Doing great, Dave.
Oh, that's outstanding. So how has the COVID-19 affected the way you've been practicing right there on Ridge Road in downtown Newton Falls?
It's changed a lot of the way we see our patients. Following the guidelines that were set down through the CDC, making sure that we have the distancing, the masking, the cleaning, making sure each and every patient is treated with respect and understanding that everybody has to be protected coming in and going out of our office.
You know, Dr. Dan, one of the things I noticed about the way you're proceeding, which was really laudable, is that only one person goes in your office at a time, because they're actually, instead of being in a waiting room, the outdoor parking lot becomes the waiting room.
Yeah, it's a wonderful waiting room for those patients because if they're comfortable, they're sitting in the car, they've got their music, and they're just waiting for their opportunity to come in.
But Dr. Dan, I have a complaint. Out in the parking lot, I can't find a 1974 edition of Highlights magazine.
I have one in the back room.
Okay.
I'll make sure I can bring it out for you. Not a problem.
It's really great what you're doing. How are the customers, how are the clientele and the patients responding to this new method of operating?
Very well. They're all very respectful of each other's distance and making sure everybody is comfortable at that distance. And no one's really had any complaints. I did have one patient who was using a mask for the first time, and he was kind of fumbling with it, and he goes, I don't believe in these masks. And I said, well, that's okay. You don't have to believe in them. You just have to use them.
Yeah, Dr. Dan, every now and then you hear somebody who says, well, I don't believe in gravity, but that doesn't make it go away, does it?
No, not at all.
Dr. Dan, we are in a time of tension and stress in people's lives. And in a chiropractic practice, to a great extent, you're seeing issues that are caused by stress and tension. Are you seeing the COVID-19 era being one in which the stress is manifesting itself in demonstration of pain throughout the body?
Yes. The stress is causing a lot more problems with headaches and neck pain, and it can even aggravate back pain. And the sitting that people have been doing at home instead of their normal activities is also coming up with more back pain. And working from home, for those people who are still working from home, has caused neck and upper back pain because of their posture and position. Chiropractic is very useful in helping reduce that tension and making sure that the body works to the best of its ability so they can be productive people again.
Yeah, Dr. Dan, a lot of people don't realize seeing a chiropractic practitioner can oftentimes be a way of avoiding a much more serious and intrusive medical intervention. So it's not a bad idea when you're experiencing pain from the neck down to the toes to visit a chiropractic clinic as a way of resolving the issues. It's not always the case, but a way of initial screening to resolve issues without getting into somebody who's going to write a bunch of prescriptions and have you pursuing more intrusive resolution of these matters. Is that a fair way of saying the reasons why a chiropractic evaluation is a good idea?
Yes. Starting out with a conservative care, the least invasive is the best way to go. And if we can take care of the problem early, it's done. If there are times when we need to refer to another physician or physical therapy for additional care, we make that referral. But using us as a screening tool to help resolve those neck and back complaints, definitely a good way to start. Start conservative and work your way up from there.
Yeah, that's outstanding, Dr. Dan. Well, folks can contact your office at 330-872-1500. And by the way, your assistant Tracy is outstanding. And if they dial 872-1500, you can get them started with an initial appointment fairly easily. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir. Thank you so very much.
Sure, that's all right. We want to give free plugs to our great businesses, especially during this difficult time. Dr. Dan, thanks so much for being in downtown Newton Falls. We're so delighted that you're you're here in Newton Falls, and good health to you and your family. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, I'll see you, Dr. Dan. And that was Dr. Dan Chachko, an outstanding member of the business community right here in Newton Falls. And in addition to that, a wonderful practitioner relieving pain. You know, that's one of the things that God wants us to do, help others, and Dr. Dan is certainly doing that. Well,
Good morning, David.
are you there? Is this Carol Kendall?
Yes, how are you?
Yes. Hi, Carol. Well, we've got you on the line now, our live line, and you are the chairman of the Newton Falls July 4th Committee. And as you probably know, Carol, right now, given all that's been going on, the July 4th events may be the hottest topic on the lips of Newton Falls residents right now, because we all live in anticipation of July 4th. And I hate to put the pressure on you, but I decided to go right to the source this morning. Tell us what you can about the July 4th activities going forward here in Newton Falls.
As of right now, as people may know or may not know, the Newton Falls Lions Club is the organization that secures the carnival each year. And they are not associated with the 4th of July committee. But they've recently let us know that the state of Ohio is not conducting inspections on rides. So as of we're talking today, there will not be a carnival at the festivities this year.
Okay. Well, we're disappointed to hear that, but what about the other activities?
The fireworks, I mean, we have secured a firework display for 2020.
Excellent.
Like everyone else, we are just waiting for directives from Governor DeWine to let us know if we can actually have the show on July 4th this year, or if we'll have to postpone it for a later date this summer.
Sure, sure. And also there's the car show and the bike show, and we've got some news for you to deliver regarding at least one of those events as well. Isn't that right?
The car show, it will not... we will not have the car show this year, unfortunately.
Okay.
As we're talking today, the bike show is still scheduled for June 27th.
Wonderful.
Again, if for some reason Governor DeWine says that we can't have large gatherings at that time, I know that the Bike Show Committee, also known as Zip City Riders, is working on something, some sort of event for later this summer.
Well, Carol, I am hoping that as we get more information, you and I can get together and see if in our conversations with the state we can salvage the parade and the fireworks. Obviously, if we are allowed to do it, it will be under some new protocols. But, Carol, I've seen the way your committee works, and I've got a feeling that if we're given some protocols to work with, that we put our heads together, we can find a way to pull it off.
I hope so.
Well, Carol, we really appreciate all that you've done. You know, the citizens of Newton Falls, they love the July 4th events, but they've never really, I think, had a clear understanding of the massive amount of work that you and your committee have to do every single year. And it's a pretty daunting task, isn't it? Can you talk about that?
There's a lot of planning that goes into it. You know, finding the food vendors, getting entertainment, having, of course, our beer truck, which that happens to be another issue right now. You know, the beer truck the sales from the beer truck is a very large portion of the funds used to purchase the fireworks. And right now, the state of Ohio is not issuing temporary beer permits. The food vendors are having a little bit of difficulty. Some of them are still awaiting their appointments for their annual health inspections. But I don't know, it's just a matter of, you know, just trying to pull everything together, and a lot of times it has to be done at the very last minute.
Well, it looks like the last minute aspect of things is going to be imposed upon us by the state, but I'm optimistic, Carol. With you at the helm, I'm optimistic, and I do want to say on behalf of all the citizens of Newton Falls and surrounding communities that flocked to Newton Falls for the July 4th events, thank you so much for all that you do, Carol.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. All right. Good health to you and your family. Take care, Carol.
Take care. Bye.
Carol Kendall, the chairperson of the Newton Falls July 4th Committee. And as I mentioned, she and her committee are the number one hot topic in Newton Falls these days. We've seen a lot of events fall by the wayside. Memorial Day activities fall by the wayside. Graduations in their normal way fall by the wayside. And a number of things that have been planned left at the side of the road. However, given the way things are moving along with the gradual reopenings, there may be light at the end of the tunnel. And Carol Kendall and her committee are just absolutely dedicated to the community. And by the way, they don't get paid to do any of that. They're doing that because they love Newton Falls, and we love them right back. Well, speaking of love, turn to your Heavenly Father. He's up there keeping an eye on us. He answers our prayers, but we've got to ask Him. And as I say at the end of every one of these broadcasts, God bless America, and God bless the city of Newton Falls.